Nova defending first. So this is what we've been seeing. You set up the Tourbillon on the opposite side, you get that crossfire, you set up the Orisa and the Bastion, you've got a defense matrix on a mobile character. Where necessary, you've got Fortify on Orisa, but Cyclone coupling, they know what to expect. They're not going to play a Ryan Goats into this.
And this is where for Jeki as well, it'd be interesting to see if he stays on. A lot of teams might actually swap. They're definitely going to stay now because Pixie is a big pick. That is the only support realistically, and they just have a big eater to heal now.
That's such a big move as well there for Jeki to be able to get the wraparound on the turret without going down. Now they lose Oyo as well. And this is, I mean, the bunker's been busted at this point. The spam damage, the chip away. They even find blue now as they go into full engage. Nova are just playing damage control. Anything they can get back, any ultimates they can charge up, any time they can burn off the clock. And honestly, it's not going to be a lot on the whole. Cyclone coupling absolutely storming through that first point.
Just a dismantling of that bunker defense as well. Again, finding that first pick onto the Mercy player, getting Restia out of the mix, and then soon after Oyo as well. Just Nova Esports losing so many members time and time again, and that engagement from Cyclone, who now can push on to B. They are going to stay on the same composition. Actually, a lot of teams may consider swapping here, but not this one. They want to bank in these ultimates that they're charging up.
And that's the thing, I would have actually considered swapping, but I mean, also using the ultimates is completely reasonable. One actually making a change again. They saw that Cyclone coupling hadn't swapped and then changed back off the Doomfist onto a Sombra here.
So this is where now for Cyclone coupling they need a little bit of time to charge up, but Jeky's nearly there. They're losing a member quick though.
Yeah, that's not the lead that Yang was hoping for. Got caught on the door. Jeky, he does go in and commit. Nice pocket from Red Fox. Keeps him alive, keeps him healed up. And Cyclone coupling might just storm through this one. With that nano boost on as well, X69 cuts off one angle from which respawners can come through. Nova had to come out the other side. Makes them very predictable. Now they can come up from both, but Blue is an insta-give casualty. Same as with one. Restia is now down. And Cyclone coupling, they hold on to this point. It is all about burning down the clock. But even then, we're going to be looking at, you know, a high 5 to 6 minute kind of situation here for Cyclone coupling. Crazy S does get a couple back though, so I might just go ahead and wash my mouth. That was soap.
They need a
because
lot
Nova
more back.
are not done just yet. You're right.
There is a resurrection as well.
They're coming in with a few more respawns, but no, Restia, the last casualty. That is going to be it done, and I won't have to wash my mouth. That was soap.
Just with water this time around. It was a slight sort of delay here. 5 minutes, and we'll get the official time
45
there. 5:47, so that's extremely good. So you're only 13 seconds off that 6 minute mark. And what you do see there on that defense as well, you're going up against a lot of snowball opportunity from the Cyclone coupling side. They're coming up to a lot of ultimates. They get an early kill into Yang. That should have been the advantage they needed. A 6 versus 5. This is where for the defenders, they can overcome that attacking pressure. But the ultimates do come online very quickly as soon as that happens, and the counter trades directly for Cyclone coupling completely shut down that defense. So very quick double cap from this team. Nova Esports under a lot of pressure now to try and do the same, to bring us to at least time bank. What we have seen a lot on Horizon though, is a lot of teams have been going to at least 1 time bank, if not 2 time banks.
I feel like Nova must be having that conversation right now. Are they going to pull out that bunker combo as well? Are they going to do it? What are we going to see out of this team? For what it's worth, I don't think we're going to see Oyo on Tracer. I don't think we're going to see Crazy S on Ash. What I want to know is how they're going to deal with this bunker comp, because it does look like they are leaning towards a Ghost.
And I do want to talk about Cyclone coupling's original composition as well. In fact, the one that they won the entire map with just then is the fact that if the game goes a decent amount of length on that attack where they can get some ultimates through, first of all, the Dragon Strike on the Hanzo does a great job of just forcing the bunker to move away or take a lot of damage. It's actually very good. Now, the Pharah can be a bit 50-50. We have to now go and see from the Nova perspective, as they are now attacking as well, how they want to play this one. They are going to go through with the original Ghost comp as well. It's the Ryan plus the Moira.
That's the thing, it's classic. It's the Moira that really makes that. We have not seen that for a good long while. Cyclone coupling on this bunker. So this is that very predictable angle. They kind of know what's coming.
So does Cyclone coupling want to rotate here? And so far, they're not going to do it. Yang standing in front of X69. If the charge comes through, he wants to be able to nullify that one, fortify.
The Moira could be the real breaking point of this. That could be what they're relying on, but unfortunately, they just don't get enough damage through. And that's the thing, like, that's what you could do with this bunker comp. You can actually just sit and hunker down.
This is where you also do see from Cyclone Coupling as well the two available responses, the playstyles here, where for Hong Kong Attitude, when they were running this, they decided to back out, but for Cyclone Coupling, they want to stay in. They want to put the Bastion where he is, put your Orisa in front, have the Fortify available, and just take the brunt of the damage. And Nova completely falling apart there, losing members very quickly, unable to deal with the turret as well on the opposite side of the map.
Feels like they're playing right into it once again. No swap up whatsoever. Nexus actually has to charge so that he doesn't take too much damage.
This is a very precarious scenario to be in now. 96%, nearly on that 100 for X69.
Gonna commit again, and that halt is just such a problem. Plus the bio grenade. They do actually get the Bastion this time around. They can't put those ultimates. That's Coalescence. Too late to save Blue, though, and not in a great position. They pressured out GCGG. They spent a lot of time dealing with just him and Jeky's turret, but they have dealt with it. Now they're trying to keep the pressure on, but they lose Crazy S's mech, and Oyo's in a bit of trouble here, trying to drill down Red Fox. They might actually just do it. The rally coming in late, but no, he's in sightlines of GCGG. Crazy S gets picked off, and it does look like Cyclone Coupling have ultimately weathered the worst of it. They're going to come into this next fight now in an even stronger position.
And for Nova, they didn't have a lot of members remaining. They traded quite evenly. They even got the most important members down, but they didn't get a lot of ultimates out of Cyclone Coupling. They never really won the point either, so they don't have any progress on the cap as the Supercharger does come through. We're less than 2 minutes now, once nearly on the Graviton Surge, and Cyclone Coupling, they still hold 4.
That Supercharger was so important. It allowed them to get some damage onto Nova that stopped them from going in too quickly. That's given Cyclone Coupling time to heal back up. They were precariously low there, especially Yang Yang. They've bought themselves a window, and now with 1.5 minutes, Nova haven't really got another window available.
And both teams just wanted to trade in terms of time. Nova Esports didn't want to fight into his Supercharger necessarily. They now have more ultimates to work with than they had before. Rally's online as well. And for Cyclone Coupling, looking for openings to get that damage in there with their ults.
This is just a nice rotation that can be made here. Great placement with that self-destruct. And this is what you... Oh, double out of the Bastion straight off the bat. Nice shattered though. Keeps him at bay. He is nano boosted up, so that's a high priority target. Stays alive for that little bit longer, but not quite long enough, and Eternal will not find anything with the self-destruct. Nova have at last broken the bunker open, and it's just the difference in the Bastion right up forward as opposed to right in the middle where Nova could make that full approach.
It's also the difference in where the fight took place as well. Notice that Nova actually were able to get on top of the point, forcing Cyclone Coupling to readdress where they were going to engage from. The Graviton surge from one, forcing engagement out from Cyclone Coupling, who started to lose members. Yang Yang on the Orisa dying super early. Not having that shield means X69 and Jeki are kind of compromised. They need to start ulting as well. We did see the tank form. It was fairly useful, got a double kill, but ultimately not enough kills to get Nova down and stop the push.
X69 gets to scout this one right out. They see Nexus onto a Winston. They see one onto a Sombra. And now the fight breaks out of the point. GCGG taking some real shots and does not survive them. Jeki as well. That's huge. So few DPS. It is over almost as quickly as it began. It's the volatility of that triple DPS. It explodes in their face or yours. And in this case, it exploded in the face of Cyclone Coupling, who are now in damage control mode. Late res onto Jeki costs Red Fox his own life. And now with a nano boost out onto Crazy S. Looks like Nova are circling in on closing it, and there it goes.
This is where, for Cyclone Coupling, unfortunately, I mean, the compositions, again, this is where we go back to the notion of Goat's Chicken, where they're expecting, okay, we're going to play Fires here, we're going to play potential Goat's counters, because we are thinking Nova are just going to continue running through with that 3-3 composition. Just not going to be the case. You have a Sombra coming through for Nova Esports, just kind of changing things around. You have Nova who are able to push through, not in as quick of a time. It's 3:52 versus 5:47, and B was very quick for Nova, but where the difference really was on that A defense for Cyclone Coupling, which was ultimately fairly successful, if not for the fact that it ultimately crumbled anyway.
Now though, well, eventually, rather, we'll get to see if Nova can fix up that defense, because they did eventually break Cyclone Coupling's defense. They are looking to stick on the same thing as our Cyclone Coupling. Cyclone Coupling were very successful. I wonder if Nova will be able to break this again, because it does feel like it was a very specific situation that allowed Nova to get through. Really not sure about this.
They're potentially opting for the Ana version now, because there's no Diva on the defensive side. If you are expecting the bunker comp to come through again, Bio nades should be a fair bit easy to get through. Oyo's going to decide at the last second to go back onto Moria. This is what they want to try with now. If they can rotate properly onto... Actually, like, Eternal is playing D.Va anyway, so that makes for a very good swap for Oyo. And for Nova now, if they can get back onto the point and force engagement on the actual point itself, that's where they can be advantaged, but they have to get past the damage to Bastion first.
So now they see we are going to be coming up against the same thing. Early pass from Eternal, doesn't find anything. The second one to hold out also doesn't find anything, just wears down Nexus' shield. So they're coming in pretty good shape.
Just got to get the health back up. You see Oyo is getting a decent amount of charge here, as is Jeki on the other side. Again, that turret just goes completely uncontested when this push comes through.
They're going to make that full rotation once again. Nice late hold on Nexus, though. All the charge up against the wall. Crazy S is to come in and save him, but they do rescue him. They get him out of that situation.
And they just don't want to play directly into Bastion because they've been punished for that before. Have to watch the health, though. Crazy S so low, going to get D-Mac.
Out in the open a bit too long. They try to set up a crossfire angle using one. That being said, they've got the turret. They've actually found Red Fox, and like you said, the boot keeping Yang Yang on the low ground. They should be able to pick him off. And they've got a third already. X69 still not quite at that tank form. Does find Nexus, though. Good one on Jeki. They've got a Molten Core. They're going to go in with the nano boost. They're just committing. They're so close to that tank mode. Actually, finding Crazy S is nice. They have forced Nova off the point. They have got those 2 ticks, like you said. There's a Coalescence to come out, and now here comes the Bastion there, respecting the damage. He's caught in a grab, still finds a shot on one, though. Sick angle. And I think Nova might have actually been muscled out of here just through sheer force of Cyclone Coupling's ultimate.
And I think Nova had been muscled out quite a bit sooner, but they stayed in, trying to get some ultimates. They're still in right now. They're actually counter trains, and now there's no ult on the side of Cyclone Coupling, and Nova have the closer respawns.
That was a bit of a shaky charge from Nexus, but at any rate, they're relying on the fact that X69 has not got back up to high ground. They're trying to finish him off, but he's still in a bunker. Shatters down. They need to finish him off, and they have just barely managed to do it. They lost Crazy S's mech in order to achieve that, but it is mission accomplished, and in actually a much cleaner way this time. It was kind of 2 fights that rolled into one. They've got the cap.
And Nova, they spent so much there. They committed so hard onto playing for that point, despite losing so many members. They get rewarded. CYC gonna go back into Sombra and the Fire. This time they'll be rewarded because Nova are playing full ghost.
Yeah, nice early charge in as well. They got Yang Yang low, and he never quite recovered that health pool. Now it's overtime for Red Fox and GCGG. I'm talking as in working double shifts here. That overtime may be coming up, but it's still a good 2 minutes away. There's Nova just trying to keep this on lockdown. Jeky's low, he's in trouble, but still got this the Mercy in the pocket and received the nano boost. GCGG traded his life for that.
Need kills.
And that seems to happen every time they pour more resources into Jeki. Whoever's doing the pouring gets cut down in their prime. Again, Jeki staying alive, but this time finally gets picked off, as Nova have also won the brawl on the ground, coming into ultimates as well. X69 is out of the picture.
Cyclone Coupling just cannot find the damage. They cannot find the defense. Nova Esports on the cusp of getting us to a second time banker. That is only if Cyclone Coupling themselves can cap out this map a second time. And as was mentioned, on Horizon Lunar Colony, we've seen this a lot, even in quarterfinals, but teams will go to multiple rounds of time bank here. And it's not like Hanamura, where teams can't finish the map. Yes. Yeah, teams are very good at finishing maps.
They finish they're so good, they don't stop. They just keep finishing the map over and over and over. That was very telling, though, the fact that Nova were able to get that in that time frame.
So I do want to talk about, there's a play that should be coming up soon. If you look at where Rest here is, he goes up for a really nice boot play, gets 2 members onto the ground after Crazy S, does get himself D-Mac, but this is where you're thinking X69 is compromised. He doesn't have that wrist in front of him anymore, but the shield is actually still up, so he's up there just doing a ton of damage, even changing forms. He's thinking, do I actually want to rotate here? Do I want to move? But he is never truly displaced. He gets his tank form, does a ton of damage, gets solo grabbed, and still kills somebody inside the grab. However, once you start considering Nova Esports throws a lot into this fight. They have the closer respawns. They know there are slow members on the side of CYC. Yang Yang's playing Orisa. He's not getting back to this defense anywhere quickly enough to really impact this fight. Nova take the fight onto the ground soon, and that's how they win after using a shadow as well.
They handled the Bastion really well here as well, by the way. He, with the nano boost, couldn't go in yet because he didn't have the tank form. Then when he did have the tank form, nano boost had run out, so they popped a grab in there. Bit unfortunate to lose one in that situation, but at any rate, I think Nova, they really stepped things up on their offense on the second time around. Now the question's going to be, will they also step up their defense? Because that was a weak point.
What you do see here is the 2 styles of attacking the Bastion bunker comp. On the side of Nova, you have the Ryan Goats variation. Here on CYC, they want to play Hanzo. They want to play Aspire. They believe that spam damage is the way to go. They believe if they can get the ultimates, if they can dislodge the defense, and Nova's already backing out, this is how they can win.
I do like this rotation, though, from Nova. They actually expected Cyclone to run this comp, so they didn't set up in the usual position. They set up in one that they feel is better equipped against this. That being said, this does allow Cyclone to get onto the point like so. To actually keep pressuring X69 out. What's going to overcome it? The spam damage, or is someone going to get a pick?
Well, you're not going to have the turret alive for very long because the fire nano's available. It's being used on Yang Yang.
As the dive in, he gets stunned up though and takes a few chunks. Now, has to be a bit careful, but they found Blue. That's the priority target there. With that, they just start cleaning up the tanks on the point. That should be the cap coming through for Cyclone. So now, will Nova be able to shore up the B defense, or will we get another snowball cap?
And a lot of the problem here for this Bastion comp is for Nova, if you're forced on top of the ground, that's not where you want to be. You're giving away high ground to CYC, who can now put their hands up there. Fire is obviously going to be in the sky as well. They're just out-spamming your turret. They're out-spamming a lot of things on your side. Nova are going to give up ultimates. They're going to give up a lot. Now setting up for the speed defense. Blue's still yet to change. It looks like he might want to stay. No, he's going to change as well.
I do like this, and it's just in time that Cyclone aren't quite on the point just yet, but Nova need to get in there. They're a little bit staggered coming in. One's finally got a silence. Six snipe. And that's where the Dragon Strike coming up. He gets bumped back, but that just keeps him in the sign of safety. Now Nova, they need to find some kind of counter picks.
I was going to say, if you use the Dragon Strike, you control spawns as well. But CYC are going to commit here. They still have ultimates to play with, and they get the res.
Yang Yang super overextended, but he stays alive with the benefit of a Primal Rage. Plus the sleep onto Nexus allows Jackie to go at point blank. They've only got one back with the self-destruct there. Nova, without those tanks to keep his members alive, are having a real hard time. Oyo as well. No Transcendence. Crazy S is going to come out on a Tracer to stall. So another tank not in the picture. One is at the dive right back to spawn, and Cyclone Coupling are on the cusp of getting this. Nexus is going to have to feather himself in and out of this point. They've got a little bit of leeway, but this is now the last gasp.
It's all just trying to stall right now. Nexus goes down, the Transcendence not in range to save him, and for Nova, they're not getting any return kills. Finally gets one onto Yang Yang. That could be important, but they need so much more.
And no one can deal with Jackie or Red Fox this entire time, and look at the impact it's having. Even with these tanks here, eventually they just get spammed out. They get chipped away at, and they eventually get picked off. Primal Rage is big. It buys them some time, but it's only buying them time. It's not buying them kills. Finally, they get X69. They haven't got other ultimates to rotate into, though. They just need to out-frag. Jetty's already got another Rocket Barrage, lays it down on one to secure the point.
And I'll be honest, though, Nova Esports getting time is important because we are inevitably going into our second time bank. Seems like this always happens on Horizon. And for a team like Nova, when they know they're on the back foot, when they know they're losing that defense so heavily, they just need to shave some time off. It's 130 versus 309. You're starting to see the difference between that first attacking phase because of the fact that Cyclone Coupling just had that much better of an A defense, shaved an extra 2 minutes off the clock for Nova's offense. We're starting to see that bleed into our future time banks because for that previous time banks, pretty comparable. Both teams had a great A, had a great B, and then finished that map. But going into this now, you have over 50% as an advantage for CYC. That should be enough to potentially win them this map.
The numerical difference between these two time banks didn't change a whole lot. It was roughly 1.5 minutes to 2 minutes that Cyclone Coupling had up on Nova. But now, the marginal difference, the percentage difference is huge. It is more than double in the hands of Cyclone Coupling. Also, not to be dismissed at all, is the fact that Nova, with only 1.5 minutes, won't have the time they needed on their first two A pushes to break this bunker composition again. If they're going to do it, they must do it faster.
And they're doing what they know as well. It's likely they haven't practiced the same kind of counter that CYC have. There is a world where they can bring up the fire and the Hanzo as well, but if they don't know how to play that, it's not going to work out for them. So for Nova, going back to the OG GOATs, the Moira Reinhardt version, Cyclone Coupling, they know the drill. They've done this now 3 times. It is the 3rd time we are seeing this matchup.
And last time as well, Nova, they were a little bit slicker and they made a good rotation here. Let's see if Cyclone Coupling let that same rotation go through. Already not. Great stall there to keep Crazy S in position to get that damage in. Now he's in a real tough spot. They have to just wait him to get back in that mech, and that takes time.
This is just so difficult now for Nova Esports. They're waiting for members, but they're running out of time. Less than 1 minute now. Here comes the charge, and it misses.
Bastion tried to set up in that high ground. Jackie's turret goes down, and Crazy S is about to get back in this mech. They might have recovered.
Nova split.
Low. Oyo's committing a coalescence. One, he's down. He does get picked off, and they haven't managed to get the kills through. Like you said, Nova are a little bit separated. Good counter trade charging from Nexus. A little bit dangerous. They don't have the coalescence running anymore. Meanwhile, on the point, you're seeing Blue and Brestia being the ones having to deal with Eternal. Eternal can just keep them at bay indefinitely, and Jackie has already found out Oyo as the rest of Nova finally rotate to the point. This is disastrous. They at least get a third. That is something to work with. Blue dies on the Molten Core. He had a rally as well, but they're getting some picks through, and one's come back on a Doomfist. They might just do this yet. X69's got tank mode, and
he's
one's back down. This is so dicey. Still anyone's fight.
And the spawns do favor Nova here, and they can still find an Earthshatter. They have to. They must find something. Bristy has to live. He's going to go down. Doesn't use the sound barrier. Doesn't have it.
Yeah, he goes straight into a shot from the Bastion, and they walk away just shy of 2/3. And you'd like to think if they'd stabilized enough to finish that third, they probably could have capped the whole thing. They at least got some progress on the point that gives them some room to work with. But 3 whole minutes they need to hold out for.
And that offense went to utter chaos. When you did see they lost a member, they lost a mech of the craziest, and they're thinking, what do we do here? We have to wait for the remake. We don't have time. We've only got 1 minute and 30 seconds already gone. Cyclone Coupling are trying to push us now. We're in a narrow position. We can't win this fight. So Nexus decides, we're going to try and charge in. If I can find a member, get that pin, we can turn this into another 5v5 scenario, maybe a 5.5 for Nova's favor. But they didn't find anything. They split their entire team. One doesn't manage to cross safely as well. They're losing members. Part of their team's on the point trying to get some ticks on there. They do, at least they get one. But the other part of the team's trying to get that control against that Bastion, which they never managed to do. First ult in the game, comes off a Cyclone Coupling, gets the Molten Core kill, finds the Brigadier player on the Nova side, and suddenly they're just down on members. They can't win anymore.
I like this. I like this adaptation from Nova. They're going, look, we play that bunker composition again. Cyclone Coupling's counter is built specifically for it. Let's try and counter the snipers. Let's try and counter the Pharaoh.
There's only one thing that needs to happen here, though. Jackie identifies there's 2 snipers on the other side, stops playing a Pharaoh, and suddenly there's not as much value. That's all realistically Cyclone Coupling need to do. How they want to respond after that, though, is going to be interesting. Do they then want to play a Doomfist or something else, or they can just play Goats?
And in that case, Nova, where did their work cut out for them? They have now seen this. They haven't made an immediate swap.
This is dangerous. If he gets caught out, this is very difficult. CYC can't push in quickly. They have to push in slowly, and they don't have time to push in slowly.
They want to give it a go. I've got to respect that at least. Then they kind of have the time, just barely, to try this and fail and then swap. But they can't spend this much time.
You're playing into the hands of Nova, and that's the issue here. Nova want this matchup. They know that they can waste your entire attack because Jackie just cannot face double snipers, and they're just undecisive. They cannot choose, and they finally get the counter trade they need.
That's big. That's most of the pressure instantly alleviated. Jackie's going to take some pain, but now it's only from the Ash, and he's got Red Fox still in the pocket.
Can't get the res.
Restia goes down, trying to get that on Blue. Now Nexus is just taking so much pain, and it looks like it's the beginning of the end here for Nova on Horizon Lunar Colony. X69 storms out Oyo. It's going to be Crazy S going down thanks to a headshot. And X69, absolutely the MVP of that. The catch on Blue, the damage out on the tanks, and that is going to be the landslide coming through for Cyclone Coupling. Their offenses on A proving to be just too deadly for Nova. They're going to take this 2-1 now.
And that's the same way that Cyclone Coupling were able to get A on their first push against the Bastion comp as well. You have the Hunter, you have him just finding this pick out there. X69, unbelievable. Now you have a 2-1 lead in this best of 5 series in the semi-final. And pay attention to the scorelines here. You have a 2-1 on Busan, a 2-3 on Numbani, and a 5-4 on Horizon that went to a second time bank. Again, both teams are really taking it to each other. This is a very tight series.
And it feels like a game of inches, right? It does feel, like I said, after Numbani, a little map dependent. It feels like Nova were just a little bit slicker at Numbani, were a little bit more prepared, had kind of planned out how they were going to play a little bit more. I don't know, they just felt like they had a more cohesive game plan. And then the same is true for Cyclone Coupling on Horizon Lunar Colony. They'd clearly figured out what to do against what is currently the very popular Bastion bunker defense. They'd figured out how they were going to play into that. They'd figured out how they were going to counter it. They'd figured out how they were going to play their own one. They just looked that little bit more prepared than Nova. Now well, they're at match point thanks to it.
And the other thing is, there's still just a world where X69 doesn't find the headshot onto blue, and then suddenly you're just wasting a lot of time, and this is where things start to really fall apart for Nova Esports, because they lost that Widowmaker, weren't able to get the res. Reslick gets caught out trying to go for it even. And that's when, I mean, that's the nail in the coffin. They lost 2 members, then tried to come back with a Tracer on blue. It's not going to be enough. At the same time, though, Nova did have the right idea initially. Yeah. And it was Cyclone coupling that kind of was still just playing into the hands. I want to reiterate, if X69 does not find the counter trade, it is far more likely for the Widowmaker to actually get the headshot kill or just a kill onto your Hanzo than the other way around. You have this big Orisa shield to play behind. Yeah. So I just want to say, look, if that doesn't happen, there's maybe another minute off the clock while Jackie's trying to peek in and out, trying to get some damage in there. And it is a big waste of time for Cyclone coupling, but because they find the kill, they get the cap.
And we do, for what it's worth as well, after that we would go into unknown territory. If you know, it takes ages, or they don't get a kill, or their Hanzo gets sniped out, whatever. That initial composition doesn't work. There was still enough time on the clock for Cyclone coupling to change things up. They might have just still got the cap anyway, but you're right, X69 finding that pick is huge. I do want to respect, like you kind of said, Nova, they realized that the thing that they'd mostly practiced for the defense, obviously the Bastion bunker just wasn't going to work. Like we said, Cyclone coupling, they'd prepared for it. I like that they didn't just try and run it a third time, going, well, it's what we practiced, it's what we'll do. I like that they tried to change things up. They went, okay, if we do that, we definitely lose here. If we change things up, maybe we lose, but we give ourselves a shot at winning. A lot of teams wouldn't actually do that. A lot of teams would rather stick with what they know, because there is an argument that if you've practiced it, you've got a higher chance of winning off it based just on that merit alone, the fact that you practice. And I think both of these teams are so willing to do that. They're so willing to make these changes.
I think both teams played very risky, particularly in that final defense, that winning push from Cyclone coupling, because you have a Nova side, while you can say, look, yeah, I think respectable is a good way to put it, because they want to try and do something different, but at the same time, very easily counterable as well. Yeah. Unscalable, let's be quite honest here. If they, you know, that's one defense.
You've just got to keep
you don't get a second chance if you lose that defense. You lose the point. That's what happened anyway. But the expected loss, in my eyes, is that Cyclone coupling changes onto a pure GOATS. Whether that's Ryan or Winston, doesn't really matter at that stage. They change onto it. They play onto the point. They just muscle you off the point because they're playing a 3-3 and you're playing double sniper. Not really favored. Asher's like, yeah, okay into that. You have a point where I think CYC could have just taken the easier victory. They themselves took a risk by wanting to play a bad matchup. They were rewarded because they found a pick, but both teams just took very big risks there, and it is Cyclone coupling that do come out with that win. I think it was just, you know, a little bit awkward for both sides in a way.
I think Escort is going to be very interesting for that matter. Because of how Numbani played out, and the fact that the difference maker was actually the point A more than anything else, that's not a factor on Escort. We're going to get a much more raw experience of those second 2 stages in Numbani, and I think Nova might just be a little bit favored there.
Yeah, so we are going to head into Escort very shortly, but first of all, let's go ahead and find out how the game mode works. I'm here, but the map has been selected, and we are finally returning to Dorado of all Escort maps. We've seen a lot of Route 66, nearly all have been Route 66 when we go to map 4, but this time around, not going to be the case. Something's got to give here, and we are at match point for Cyclone coupling. We're in the same position after Busan here. Nova need to strike back.
I think this is a very astute call by Nova as well, because between the 2 options they had to pick from, Route 66 is the map where Cyclone become Chaos Unbound. There's nothing they can't play. They'll swap things up constantly. They will always be one step ahead of you compositionally, and they'll play anything. Triple DPS, quadruple DPS, Death Ball, Slambulance, anything they want. Dorado, who knows? This is obviously what Nova have prepared. We saw what Cyclone coupling were able to do when they prepared Horizon Lunar Colony. I would like to see the same level of success from Nova here. I would like to see that tiebreaker.
Well, you're down 1-2. You need to bring out any further tricks you have up your sleeve. Nova are going to attack first here. 3-3 GOATS, the Winston variety, and for Cyclone coupling, going to be playing a bit of a bunker here. Hanzo and Orisa with that power on Jackie.
But there you have it. Blue's already made the swap to the Widowmaker. And unlike Horizon Lunar Colony, he's got time to work with. And this time doesn't get sniped out by X69. They found Jackie. Now he can make the swap so that they can be back on full goats. And eventually they should start muscling Cyclone coupling out of here without that Pharah for the spam damage.
The other thing is, there was no resurrection, so they're still waiting for Jackie to return from spawn. Nova noticed that they're going to try and force a 6v5 while they have a chance to.
I really like this very fast, very aggressive move in, and it's kind of paying off here. They find Red Fox as he tries to go sky high. That's the real big kahuna of that. And in this tight, narrow space, the AoE healing they're getting out of the Lucio is just totally outdoing anything GCGG can do, even with that biotic grenade. So exceptional play there from Nova. They're just able to muscle their way through the courtyard.
And that's a one and done first attempt as well. 5:25 still remaining on
Cyclone haven't reset yet.
And that's the thing, CYC just waiting to set up on this B point, waiting for ultimates. Now they do have Nano Boost available. They do also have a barrage coming up soon as well. Yang freshly onto a Winston. It is going to be CYC you'd expect soon to try and force this defense open.
There it is. There's going to be the move in. They've actually committed to this Hanzo and Pharah. It should work in theory against this Goats comp, but Nova will get a lot of space first before the ultimates come up for those DPSs.
Dragon Strike nearly available as well. They're still really taking their time to get this defense going. Yang's finally in, and the Nano was committed.
But he is a little bit isolated. That is an okay Dragon Strike, but it doesn't cut anyone off. They're able to regroup, and now that Primal Rage and that Nano Boost has long since run out on Yang, who's still having to front line in this situation. Jackie's still getting muscled out. The dive on X69 is just too strong. And honestly, Cyclone coupling aren't able to stay grouped up enough to execute on this. Red Fox does get a res in there and slips out alive, but he had to commit a Valkyrie, and Nova have moved the payload this entire time.
That's the big deal, because Cyclone coupling, while they're trying to get something done, they haven't stopped that card. Barrage doesn't catch anybody. Does get a sound barrier force from Nova though, and the Graviton was used. Graviton doesn't catch much, and for Nova, starting to run out of resources.
Eternal self-destructed to preserve the mech, then immediately got demech anyway. And that's all the wild crazy S was blocking out the rocket barrage. To absorb both of those ultimates simultaneously is nothing short of phenomenal play, and Nova are being duly rewarded. They finally take Jackie out of the skies. For how long he stayed up there, they did not get the mileage out of him, and Nova are just steamrolling through Dorado.
To be honest, Cyclone coupling there didn't really stop the card at all. They had a sort of minor contest there towards the end, and now we do have, like you sort of said here, respawning members, getting caught out early. Restia gets traded as well, so it's going to really stop Nova from continuing to run down Cyclone coupling. But look, it's been one push this entire game. Nova have not been stopped. We've gone from spawn onto A all the way onto C now, and we haven't seen Sea of Dorado, I think, at all.
But this is what Cyclone coupling have used in the past against Ghosts, both Winston and Reinhardt. Oh, as I say it, he finds himself straight into the Brigida and taking a ton of damage on the way. Good counter trade with Nexus, though. They aren't able to get anything like a res or anything like that in there.
Coming through.
Very large lob on the grab, throwing in a self-destruct. They've already killed the members before the self-destruct finishes channeling. Nice isolation there.
And just not enough damage, not enough kills coming through for Cyclone coupling. You look at the ult charge for Nova, you see a lot of it's coming online. They don't have much to play with now because they had to use it to get to this point, but they've got a lot of distance and still a lot of time to play with.
Back off the Goats counter, now just going on to a Rhine Goats against a Winston Goats. Often edges out when you've got time, which Cyclone coupling don't have, and Yang's already down. Nexus has got a Primal Rage you can lean into as well, but they might not even need an X69 despite the rally. Will still go down. Now the rest of the members start taking the pain. GCGG so low. Ooh, he'll get a Transcendence in the nick of time, but it's still not enough to save Eternal, and it only buys Jackie a few more extra seconds. Red Fox down as well. Jackie out of the mech, bumped away. GCGG will surely go down. This is Cyclone trickling in, trying to contest. Eternal may just get there. Yang will barely get there, and it's still not going to be enough to stop the indomitable charge of Nova.
And that is just a one attempt all the way from A onto C. They complete the entire map. Fantastic time as well, 3:39, finishing Dorado. That is incredible. That's going to be a lot for Cyclone coupling to try and overcome. It's not going to be easy unless Nova just do not get a good defense. I want to speak to the defense as well, because Cyclone coupling wanted to play a Goats counter. They got punished super early, losing Jackie. Didn't get that res in there, couldn't get that res in there, had to go backwards, wait for the respawn, had to play in a choke, lost an A defense very quickly. That was a very quick push coming out through from Nova. Onto B, could not stop that card, continually pushing through all the way to C. They wanted to play a counter and they were not successful. They just could not slow down the pace of the game. Nova Esports kept on pressuring and pressuring Cyclone coupling out, kept on getting that objective forward, and eventually we got to see CYC have to swap their entire composition onto a GOAT, and they have no ultimates to work with.
Sure as the tide, the inexorable advance of Nova on that attack was an absolute joy to watch, I have to say. And now Cyclone coupling are in the situation where they have to first match that, or at least get to time bank with some kind of wiggle room, and then do better the second time around on the defense. They cannot let Nova get another attack like that, and that's even if Cyclone coupling get that far.
The thing is, when you look at this 339 and you remember that Nova actually basically did not get stopped and did not lose a fight, that's about as good of a time that you can actually realistically expect. And for Cyclone coupling, very unlikely to be able to match this time. You are going to go to time bank if they finish, but it's not going to be a good time at all.
Again, Nova have the read here. They know Cyclone coupling like a bit of quad DPS. They're just going to run blue on the Widowmaker. You see one and Restia setting up, waiting for a Doomfist to get a little bit too brave, but actually it's the fight to the Sombra, and now this is maybe waited, like you said, a bit long. GCGG does go down though. There goes Oyo, and now suddenly Nova up the creek without a paddle here. One's eventually going to go down here. It's only a matter of time as he gets surrounded on the ground. Now Jackie, uncontested as he is in the air, they will eventually chip away at these tanks, and this time it's Nova not really stopping that payload.
And the thing, this time around, Blue doesn't get that early kill to Jackie, and Cyclone coupling, they don't push the cart forward enough for Nova Esports, Restia and Oyo waiting on the sides, as well as one to actually try and contest that cart. Eventually, Nova lose a member, and Nova then consider, oh, well, we have to go now. It's 5v6, and we still cannot contest Jackie.
And that's the thing. I mean, it is a good idea against this triple DPS, a lot of squishy targets, sure, but at the same time, you've actually got to get those shots on those squishy targets if you are blue, and if one of them shoots you, well, you've got no other great sources of pressure without having ultimates available. Oyo going down to a headshot, super rough. Good isolation on Yang Yang, but with Redfox in the pocket, he lives for so long. Jackie gets two with his barrage ball getting headshotted, and by the way, all that focus on Yang Yang has been for now. He's still in the fight coming up on him, Supercharger. By the time they kill him, if at all, everyone else is already dead.
You do have this sort of notion now where for Yang Yang, playing the Orisa starts to have high value. That shield that blocks out so much sightline, blocks out so much damage coming through from Blue, who was trying to play the Widowmaker sniping. He only gets to kill the Jackie when Jackie is using a barrage, when he's stuck in the air by himself, doesn't have any shielding to protect him. That's the only time we see the Widowmaker actually land that shot. Now for CYC, off what was basically one attempt anyway, do get that push onto B, but they don't have as good of a time as Nova still.
And that's the one saving grace. It was slightly slower. It was stopped up a little more. It was 2 fights instead of just 1. It's going to be the Dragon Strike just to try and displace Nova. Nova decides it's time to press the go button. Let's get in here with the Primal Rage. Instantly drill down the Supercharger plus the, actually no Orb of Discord. It's just the damage. That is insane. The Orb, I think, was from Oyo. And already, again, Jackie. When Blue is dead, there's no one who can contest him. Even when he's alive, he's just not quite landing the shots. Nova need to change things up.
And Nexus diving in with the Primal Rage, even though that's going for them, the Supercharger, the damage boost on 4 or 5 members is just so much more than what Nova can handle. Blue, once again, gets shut down very quickly. Jackie finds him super fast in that fight. And once again, we do have a continued push from Cyclone coupling, but there has been at least some stall on top of the card.
Just waiting for Blue to shake off the rust and start clicking some heads, really. That's, I mean, he is really good at it. Oh, Nexus caught by a self-destruct super run. There it is! There's one! Now let's get another one. Trying to catch out. Red Fox going for the res, nearly gets it. Valkyrie pops. Blue's in the thick of this one. Decides, wait a minute, that's not where I want to be. Backs up. And these are some good sidelines. Also, Nova have been able to take the fight away from the cart now.
But there are ultimates coming online for Cyclone coupling. Valkyrie's still into effect, at least for now. The cart is slopped, at least for the time being, but the EMP is going to be absolutely huge from both sides. Whoever managed to get the better one.
And A69's got the better position, but one commits first, and they got that sound barrier. They've already found Red Fox, counter trade on Oyo, crazy ass out of the mech. Without being able to commit a self-destruct, catch on Jackie, finishing off X69 as well. GCGG is still in this fight, but so is Blue and One. That might just be enough to at least pressure out GCGG, but that doesn't hold true for the tanks.
And the difference here is because Blue is one of the remaining members alive, he's a Widowmaker, he cannot really contest the cart safely. GCGG once again just finding Oyo. So many members down consistently for Nova Esports.
Yeah, speaking of, oh god, again, GCGG just so slick. He saw the shot come across from Blue, just turned to the side, immediately catches him. Again, a bit of a contest to come through. There's no way Cyclone Coupling get the same time as Nova here, but honestly, they're getting close.
We're at the sort of point now where you do start to expect them to finish that map at least. CYC making some important changes, both Jackie and X69. Noticing that we're going indoors here, going to be changing up heroes. Yang Yang for the time being. The Orisa has been working. He's going to stay on that for now.
Nova just haven't had that same kill pressure, aside from Blue catching headshots, which has not got many.
Punched people into the Dragon Strike.
Plus the Halt as well, keeping people in for long enough. They die, getting a lot of mileage out of an ultimate that honestly doesn't usually have much effect these days.
And that's the thing, Dragon Strike is usually useless, but when you have a lot of good team play, Halt and a Rocket Punch to get members in there, that's when things start to look really good. GCGG going to look for a bit of an angle, looking for a bit of a sonic arrow as well for the scouting.
Self-destruct laid forward, should be able to find, there we go.
Big double.
I was about to say GCGG, but getting Eternal on that's just icing on the cake. Now Red Fox takes a retreat rather, takes the wings out, I suppose. They do get a
catch.
Yeah. Slippery fingers.
I think that's definitely got to be a fat finger because there's no way you really want a Transcendence there. You hope that Cyclone Coupling don't see it. Yang Yang predictably is going to go into the Ryan now. You don't want to stay on the Orisa once you lose control of that card itself. And for now at least,
nice flank.
Cyclone Coupling's looking for opportunity. Red Fox actually uses Valkyrie. GCGG went down. Gets their res. Okay, they're going to push.
Yeah, they're committing to it. Oh, yeah, it also looked like he was maybe going to change. Chooses not to. Red Fox using the Valkyrie there. I think that was to get the res quicker because they have obviously wanted to make this change. Now this is spicy. This is what Cyclone Coupling have beat Goats with so many times.
So this has been the first significant slowdown on the CYC offense so far. Forced a full reset. Now 2 minutes remaining onto the clock. EMP available for Nova. The hold on C is still available. Here it is.
Right onto Yang Yang, who is instantly chewed through. They're going to get GCGG on this retreat and Jackie to boot. That's going to be the rest of Cyclone Coupling. Might slip out. Don't know if X69 will quite get away. No one's able to follow up on him, so he does get out alive, but that is still a loss for Cyclone Coupling and a very cheap win for Nova.
We're actually in a position now where Nova is starting to look quite favored. One's going to try and match with the Doofus, and just as that happens, Jackie decides to go on top of the Diva. So for Cyclone Coupling, it's kind of like, well, you change, we change. No one wants to play Sombra now. EMP was used already. We're still waiting for ults from CYC, and that's the biggest issue.
And now this is the situation that Nova won in back on Mecha Base. 100-0 shutout. Early death on Crazy S, though, and Nexus eating the pain. So low! Is he going to slip out? I think he just barely will here. That was a grab committed out from Eternal. It's just enough. Nova do get one last respawn, one last contest.
This is now about the 1 minute mark remaining. Cyclone Coupling don't have a lot left. Maybe Yang Yang can get this Earth Shatter up for Nova Esports. Going to try and dive in.
There we go. Nexus nearly in with a charge. He goes down though. Nice bump there. They do at least get Blue onto the payload. They've got some members out. Shatter's big though. They can't quite finish off rest here. Nova do have the closer respawn. Nexus will be about to rejoin here as soon as he comes out of that spawn. No kills either way. Aside from that, finally getting Blue. Yang Yang super low, but they haven't finished him off. And now they're a little separated, overextended as it were. The healing, if they go down, suddenly Nova can't stay in this fight. Eternal's having to take a long walk back into this one, but they've still got a numbers advantage even without him. They get the kills to come through. We are going to go to time back.
Cyclone Coupling, despite the slowdowns there, despite a little bit of a hiccup here and there, A and B pretty one-sided, pretty much all under their control. C, a lot more contentious for them as they're trying to attack through. Did get their forced reset on top of them, something that didn't happen to Nova. The other thing that didn't happen for Nova was Nova's cart was never really stopped or contested well enough on both A and B. Cyclone Coupling, despite winning those fights, did have some slowdowns, notable slowdowns that have affected their time. Going to time back now, 1 minute being bumped up for Cyclone Coupling versus 4 minutes and 12. That is a 4 times difference in favor of Nova.
I mean, significant to say the least. I would also dare say there is one major factor we've got to consider with Cyclone Coupling. Their team composition, great for point A, great for point B, almost nowhere it gets through C. And I feel like time bank notwithstanding, that's where any attack is going to end up falling apart or potentially being stopped altogether for Cyclone Coupling. Same isn't true for Nova.
To be honest though, this is the kind of composition where you know it's not going to work well for C, but also you know you're probably not going to get to C on 1 minute. Very unlikely to actually push that far. Your goal here is obviously to try and get as far as possible, but if you can get to B, if you can even cap out B, you're going to be very happy with that result. So for this kind of composition, it can work out quite well for them, and it's going to be mirrored on both sides. The only difference here is the Zen for GCGG and Oyo playing the Ana. Everything else is the same.
I like this from Nova. They have that little more kill pressure. That being said, we'll have to see who gets what, who picks which Pharah. And this is with the cart moving early on, so no picks either way.
It's a hard game for Widowmakers here because they have to find more creative angles. Both the Orisa shields are just denying so much damage, and both Blue and X69 have to watch out for each other as well as the opposing Pharahs.
And that's the thing, the opposing Pharahs are not to be discounted here. As much as you'd think on paper Widow wins that matchup with the kill pressure, a couple of rockets too many and the Widowmaker has to play more conservatively. The other Widowmaker takes space. That is a couple of nice shots on Yang Yang. They're still not finishing it off. That's the thing, again, just no one able to get the better of these exchanges yet.
Nova's taking a lot of damage on. Look at their members. CYC starting to find a bit of an advantage here as long as they don't lose any members. And no one has actually gone down. Oyo goes to die.
Oh, and a headshot onto Blue as we hit the time bank. Cyclone Coupling take a numbers lead and start running with it. Catch on Restia is so huge as well. No res to come in. Nexus down. The one counter trade on Jackie is not going to be enough to turn the tide of that fight. There will be a cap to come through for Cyclone Coupling. Now they will stay in overtime for the rest of the map. The question is, how far will they get?
They're going to be in a sort of situation as well where now we need to start seeing who gets the first ultimates. One is going to get this change onto the Sombra as Eternal is going to get his life taken away. A little bit of slowdown that they can afford here. Nova as well, though, coming up to Nano Boost soon. If they win one fight, they can stop this defense. Otherwise, CYC going to look to take B as well.
This is a swap. And I like this swap as well. It's harder for Blue to get anything done against this team comp.
Jackie is on to the Brigadier as well. Transcendence being available here is going to be a big deal. It's committing early contest from Nova.
Self-destruct is big as well. They have to stick around that payload. And they found Red Fox, probably one of the higher impact ones you could get, because honestly, Cyclone Coupling need reses to stay in these fights. Lose too many members. Blue finally pays it back. And that is Cyclone unable to maintain the presence on the payload for just long enough. The overtime disappears. And I'll be honest, I don't know if that was enough distance for Cyclone Coupling to feel safe. This is essentially still having to hold in the courtyard.
Basically, you have a sort of scenario now where the goal has been set, the finish line has been drawn, and for Cyclone Coupling, it's going to be so difficult for them now to try and win this map. It's very likely that we do go to map 5. Let's take a look now at this sort of final engagement here. Red Fox getting destroyed by the self-destruct from Crazy S. You do have GCGG responding with that Transcendence. The other big kill was Blue taking down X69. And by the way, both players have that infra site available as well. And coming down to this, whichever Widowmaker does get that kill gets a big advantage.
Want to show a micro play here as well. This is Eternal too high up to hit that payload hitbox. While that's happening, Crazy S was using his movement to muscle Yang Yang back from the payload, and Yang Yang had already used his Fortify. A couple of tiny little things just meant no one was quite there. If Yang Yang had Fortified, wouldn't have been pushed back, would have been by the payload. If Crazy S hadn't have gone in right as Eternal committed a self-destruct and was way up in the air, wouldn't have happened. I don't know if Cyclone Coupling would have won the fight, but it did cause the loss.
Well, it certainly given them an opportunity to try and win that fight. It was going to be difficult regardless, but small things do get a lot of mileage here. We're back on now to this time bank. Offense from Nova Esports. Blue's going to try and stay on to this Widowmaker as Jackie is on the bar again.
Same thing, right? All he needs to do is muscle out Jackie, ideally find a pick like he did last time, and then they can just kind of go.
We've got to say, though, Blue has had some quiet moments, has had some good moments, but right now, Nova going to get at least a bit of a free entry into the side trade.
Oh dear.
Despite losing a member.
And this is what Cyclone Coupling want. X69 is forced to translocate out, but this is where Jackie can just start to unleash himself. They know now as well, Blue is swapped off the Widow because he couldn't get the early kill pressure. You don't just want to sit in a stalemate forever. You want to get the cart moving. Now Nova are actually in a bit of a tough spot.
And while they started with 4 minutes and 12 seconds, they can still get held here. They can still be in a situation where they do not complete this map. It's going to be unlikely, but it is still a possibility, and that's something you got to be careful of because Nova are down on ultimates. Cyclone Coupling should get the first ult of the game.
They are able to get into a little bit of cover here, but again, eventually someone gets chipped away at, right? Between The Sombra oozing in between the rockets from Jackie. Someone gets picked off. Someone gets picked away. And now they've got the ultimates to come out. Like you said, the Supercharger, also a Rocket Barrage. They're probably not even going to need here with Restia and Crazy S both down. And Nexus on less than a sliver of health finally gets finished off.
The best part about the Supercharger is that because it gives more damage to your team, it allows you to charge those ultimates a bit quicker as well. So now CYC in a position where one tank ultimate is down, but the other 5 ultimates just about to be online. Nova, though, still haven't found their first one, still in a very rough spot. Half their time is nearly gone now, and they're still stuck on the archway.
I mean, that first attack worked so well the first time around because of the pick on Jackie. This time, though, it's Cyclone who've been able to dig in their heels, get the snowball in their favor. Look at the ultimates. Nova not even anywhere close.
Orio's going to get the Transcendence, but they need more than that. They need the Graviton Surge. The EMP is going to clean people up.
Straight on top of Blue. You'd almost wish you hadn't committed the Transcendence there. I mean, even if you keep the members alive, you don't have your own ultimates to rotate into to really do anything about it. But actually just going to come back into another fight. Still not really ahead in ultimates.
But an important fight to lose for Nova as well, because they need to force ults out of Cyclone coupling. 4 are gone now. They started with 5 on that defense. Now just remaining is the Valkyrie. Soon we'll probably get that Supercharger again, which can charge those other ultimates. But opportunity now into the court of Nova Esports. This is where they can finally break through. This is where they can finally win a fight, especially if they get a player advantage. That's not going to get rezzed.
And such a huge headshot. Oh, you're coming up the side door there and finding that angle on X69. Huge opening now, and that's Nova with a flat ultimate advantage as well as the numbers advantage. Jackie has to do all the DPS work here, and they're already ceding ground.
And by the way, if Nova cap out this A point, it's likely they finish the map as well. Cyclone coupling do not have room to play with.
But we're getting into that one fight territory. 1 minute 15 on the clock. The Supercharger's already destroyed. Yang Yang putting that down. They did not charge the ultimate they needed, and they lose Yang Yang. Rocket Barrage only gets Oyo before Jackie goes down. And now with the trades coming in, they are very favoring Nova, or heavily favoring rather. That's the cap already. Late death on Eternal. Can anyone contest this?
There's barely members alive. You're not going to have 6 for Cyclone coupling here, but there are 6 for Nova Esports. You have to stall for as long as possible. Nova cannot wait to get this cart moving along, and CYC are in desperation mode. They have to play against both self-destruct and Graviton Surge.
They sent Red Fox forward to stop the other reinforcements. X69 was already there to get ready on the contest, but the early kill on Yang Yang because of the solo grab. Nicely done. Like setting Jackie. They're so nearly through, and it looks like it's just a matter of time. Self-destruct layered in as well from Crazy S just to stop the further reinforcements while they pick off the last members. We go to our tiebreaker. This is a semi-final befitting of these two teams.
And both of these teams had quarterfinals that went to map 5, and this semi-final is now going to be no different for both of these sides. We have, if you look at the scores, once again, it's going back and forth between both sides. Cyclone coupling taking out map 1, followed by Nova striking back, then CYC again, then Nova striking back once again on Dorado, and the points are close as well. This has probably been one of the few points where you start to feel like Nova really just muscled out Cyclone coupling. This is probably one of the slightly better maps for one side rather than the other one. All 3 of the other maps were super tight, and this map was only, I gotta say, a little bit in the favor of Nova. I mean, you got to say, look, that massive time bank is certainly a big thing to consider, but it's still 4-5. It's still a scenario where, against all odds, Cyclone coupling push us to time bank, have a decent enough offense, and we still get to the final last minute of that time bank push for Nova. That could have ended either way.
I'm curious to see how Control goes. Cyclone coupling won that first one. It felt very map dependent within that. We can't go back to Busan. I don't know if Cyclone coupling are even necessarily favored here, but we're going to find out how that ends up playing out in a few moments.
Yep, so we are going to take a bit of a break here, and when we do return, the finale here, who is going to take out of this first semi-final? Is it going to be Nova? Is it going to be Cyclone coupling? Find out right after this. Welcome back once again as we now head into map number 5 here in Overwatch Contenders Pacific Season 3 semi-final, our opening semi-final of this finals week here, where the winner will be moving on to the grand finals for the first time for just one of them, and the other team we're going to have to say goodbye to.
And like we said before the break, a semi-final extremely befitting of these two teams, the two that went to a full 5 in their quarters, eked it out on the last map. We now come into that same situation between these two teams, neck and neck, trading maps back and forth. And here's the thing, I feel like a lot of this has come down to who has been able to pick what, who's prepared for what. but I don't know if that's going to apply here on Control because of how lopsided each individual map of Busan was. We do know what map it's going to be. We are going to Ilios for our tiebreaker. Control here. That's going to be Cyclone Coupling's pick, but I don't think that's going to tell the whole story.
And that's the thing, when we get to map 5, things can go any direction. This is where we take our minds back to both Talon Esports and GE Pantheon KR. We went to map number 5, and suddenly it's anyone's game. Even if one team started to look a little bit better on the hybrid or the escort or even the assault, it comes down to the fact that you play Control twice, and the team that has won the previous Control has ended up winning the series.
And this is now, I mean, to say the least, an interesting situation, right? Like, does history repeat itself? Do we get the turnaround here? We'll never get the back-to-back map wins to take it home. Will Cyclone Coupling get this? And again, I feel like the usual thing of the other maps here of, well, the team that picked it comes in favored. I mean, there's some merit to it, sure. Clearly, Cyclone Coupling have prepared something for Ilios, but that's not going to be the be-all, end-all of this. I guarantee you Nova still have tricks up the sleeve. I guarantee you there are still maps, maybe the entirety of Ilios, where they can just muscle out Cyclone Coupling no matter what they've prepared.
This is going to be the decider. This is where it will all end. For one of these teams, glory awaits them in that grand final. For the other one, disappointment as they have to wait for the next season. Coming out the gates here on Ruins, it's going to be the Ryan Goats from both sides, except for X69 on the Sombra.
That's a bit of an interesting deviation. Nova have traditionally won the head-to-head Goats. They've also won where they played the Doomfist counter. But when Cyclone have prepared a counter, it has worked. Now opening Scrap. Both teams just squaring up by the side of the point.
X69 doesn't find the hack here, gets spotted out super early, takes a little bit of damage and is forced out. Nova just trying to find the rotation onto the point as it opens, and now teams must engage.
Flank again from X69, he gets found out and has to translocate. So here's the brawl on the point. It's effectively a 6v5 or 6v5. That's the catch. Getting Yang on his back. X69 though back in the fray, finds a good flank. Nexus keeping the damage on, but Crazy S out of the mech. Restia barely getting topped up. Eternal so low, but GCGG has still been fragging out. Finally goes down, but honestly, Cyclone might have done enough damage here. Nova do get the point cap in all the chaos though.
That's the important thing. As soon as that does happen, if CYC are not outright winning and do not have a good chance of winning, they must back off, they must reset, they must look for their next entry. And they need to keep Yang alive because he was the catalyst that started everything for Nova Esports.
Now Nexus coming up on a shatter. Yang already down early as well. That's so pivotal when the Ryan is going down first in these situations. I mean, in the straight mirror matchup, it's an almost guaranteed fight win.
And this is where for Nova as well, they see the free shatter opportunity. They see the ability to clean up the fight quickly as well, get the ultimates on every other member. Still waiting for EMP to be online for X69. And I don't know how long you really want to wait here. Both teams, Graviton Surge is ready, and one is on a flank.
Big note as well, no D.Va on Cyclone, D.Va on Nova. Eternal is at risk of getting eaten. One has no such thing to deal with, but that's a nice angle in from Eternal. Double grab was a bit funky. Everyone just kind of stuck up on the columns there, but it is once again Nova coming out the better of the fight. It's just out fragging and so much damage in the pocket of one. This also allows him to charge up a good 20% ahead of Eternal. The EMP committed late is really heartbreaking for Cyclone.
Yeah, this is really difficult for Cyclone Coupling now because despite losing this, they have the opportunity to maybe still swing things back around. Two big weapons gone, both grab was used already, EMP thrown out of there as well. Nova Esports sitting on 5 ultimates. Cyclone Coupling just do not have resources.
This is so huge for Nova. Cyclone Coupling are going to need a huge Earth Shatter here. They've got nothing else to combo it up with. All they've got defensively is a sound barrier. The Shatter comes out already from Nexus. Nearly got a bump off the edge. That was nearly a bit dangerous, but he stayed alive for now. The sound barrier was good from Red Fox. Keeps him in the fight so that Yang can get a Shatter. Can they follow up on Restia and Oyo? The answer is no, not quite. We come into overtime rather, with both Reinhardts dead to rights. But GCGG down and Eternal off the edge of the map. This is looking like the first one's going to go the way of Nova, and it's looking like it is again going to be a 100-0 shutout.
And once again, Cyclone Coupling with a team that took the gamble there. They wanted to play the Sombra. They wanted to try something different, try and counter out the expected 3-3 goats coming through from Nova. But it is Nova finding once again, finding yet again early kills. Yang Yang going down, Earth Shatter advantages for Nexus, snowballing through that entire fight. Whiffed ultimates on the side of Cyclone Coupling, no Diva to defend against the Graviton Surge. They lose Ruins in a pretty one-sided manner. This is a very tough place for them to be in. One more mistake, and this could be the series over. This could be their tournament life gone.
Ruins is kind of the wild card of the 3 maps of Ilios. Here, Cyclone Coupling, they don't feel like they have to play the GOATs. They can come out on a quad DPS. This feels more like their wheelhouse.
This is also a very hard counter against an expected GOATs, more so against the Ryan version. They've read this correctly. They flip the coin and it comes up heads. Nova Esports start on the Winston Ryan, Winston GOATs, and they should get countered out by all the DPSs.
They can get some catches. Nova will be in a good position. It's this early scrap that's the hardest before the GOATs can barrel for the point and try and take cover. Good damage out. Nice pressure on Jackie, but the spam's coming through and they catch out Restia. Eventually, the balance gets tipped. The DPS has put out that little bit of extra damage. And look at the confidence in GCGG, knowing that he's got Red Fox in the pocket. Yang Yang does trade his life. Nexus getting out alive is huge, but with Oyo going down, Nova have got the point cap, but they're starting to lose in numbers.
Now this is where you start to see the micro plays as well. You see Crazy try and jump on top of Jackie, and they find the kill to Restia. Point needs to get flipped too.
The floodgates have opened. Even in going down, only getting the 1 kill, the damage has been done. The Dragon Strike maybe not quite so necessary, but with Yang Yang back in the fight, they can get the presence on the point thanks to Eternal on the Doomfist. They should be able to get the grab back off here. Nova are going to stall this one out. They're committing.
Have not capped. Nova have members again. Nova are contesting.
Oh, Eternal with Red Fox in the pocket still goes down, and that's with the Valkyrie running. That's such a huge catch. X69 gets onto the point, doesn't quite finish off Blue. EMP out as he's down, loading and gets stunned and killed.
This is so unfortunate. Cyclone Coupling are falling apart here. They were winning the fight, and they could not cap the point. Nova Esports had members alive, Blue and Restia, just staying on the point, not allowing CYC to continue to fight, to continue to be able to get that advantage and cap through 50% now. Nova should not be this high up. Cyclone Coupling should at least have something on the board, but that is simply not the case.
What they do have on the board though is ultimates. They barrel in, they isolate Oyo. They're looking to finish off 1. Eternal low, but Meteor Strike keeps him nice and toasty. Finish off Crazy S's mech as well. Then they're going to take out the pilot form. It is only really Nexus stalling out this point. 1 is around, but he's not going to last very long once the damage gets in there. Nice picks on Eternal and
that's
Yang.
huge.
So once again, Nova, they stay in the fight longer than they have any right to. Nexus shuts down Jackie before the barrage can find anything. The kill on 1 was just a rocket. That's 4 for Nexus. He's putting the team on his back.
80% now and counting up. Cyclone Coupling, despite having so many ultimates, they committed 2 of those onto Oyo. They could not get the others onto the point. 90% now, there is still ultimates online for Nova. Cyclone Coupling have nothing.
Such late deaths as well, 95%, and it could be all over. Double shot on, stun on Yang Yang, barely gets on the point and straight into a grab. Eternal's down, Yang Yang to follow, and that's the last gasp in the lungs of Cyclone. The storm has blown over, and Nova come out the victors. They look around, the building is still standing, and Nova punch their ticket to the grand finals.
And that is a 2-0 shutout on Ilios as well. They do it in commanding fashion. Dorado was their map. Dorado was a huge turnaround for this team, and now we have not seen since 2017 OWC Season 2, a Taiwanese team in the grand finals of a tournament in the Pacific region. Nova have finally done it after 3 seasons here in Contenders, their first ever grand final.
And a team that feels like they've barely scraped by in certain seasons, barely getting into top 4s, often getting muscled straight out of playoffs in quarters. Semifinals was the furthest they'd gone prior to now. And let's be real, this is a tough opponent. This is a team that had beaten Hong Kong Attitude, that had knocked out the tournament favorites. Nova coming in and beating that team, you've got to feel good about that. That's what you carry into your grand finals. You beat the Giant Slayers. You wear that belt now. You've got that. It's up to whoever comes into that grand finals to take it off this team. They've accelerated so much in these last 2 weeks.
It's such a huge accomplishment as well. These guys came in through as a bang in early seasons, unsponsored students, not even really what you'd expect to be a real team. Couple seasons later, couple of World Cup appearances for this team, a lot of work put in. Ristia coming in as a veteran member from so long ago. This is a guy that's played Omachi in the scene for a long time, leading this pack, and now they finally get to the highest stage that they've ever been to. The highest peak that they've ever been to, and it's not even over for them there. They can still get that opportunity to win that grand final and claim that top prize.
And to think as well that depending on how that next semi-final goes, we could have a Taiwan v Taiwan final. This region has not been dominated by Taiwan since OPC Season 1, where they represented 3 of our top 4 teams. Hong Kong Attitude at the time, curiously, were one of those top 4 teams. Now here they remain, having not gone any further than a semi-final. They also come up against the last bastion of the Koreans in Pacific Contenders right now. The region that has dominated Pacific in all of those seasons since Flash Wolves won OPC Season 1, and it could be time that Taiwan takes that title back.
This is now the state of the tournament where after the quarterfinals, after one of the semis as well, and maybe even after we see the result of Hong Kong Attitude versus Phoenix, there are no more favorites. There are no more teams coming through that should be winning, that are expected to win. Upsets are going to happen. We don't even know where these upsets are going to come through. You don't even know exactly who is necessarily going to be favored. We can say, look, Talent Esports, maybe they should have won the tournament. Cyclone Coupling, they beat them. Now they look like the best team. Nova come on through, completely dominate them in the last 2 maps. Basically, it was very close, but Nova are the winners here. Anybody can win this tournament. It is anyone's game, and I have no idea who's going to take the crown.
And it is so exciting to be in that situation. I think that's even true now for our second semi-final coming up after, well, in a few minutes rather. The fact that, again, like you'd like to think Hong Kong Attitude are favorites. Indeed, all the history speaks to that. But then the reality is, this has not been a tournament where the word favorite means anything. Phoenix have already beaten one favorite out. They could well do it again, and it might be in another 3-0. Who's to say? We are in an absolutely unbelievable situation. But I tell you what, one thing is for sure. The one thing that has stayed consistent in Pacific Contenders is we will have a new champion once again. We cannot have a repeat champion. And now it's down to just 3 teams who could potentially claim that title.
Of course, that also does mean we say goodbye to Cyclone Coupling, who themselves have had a dynamite season here, where they came in, as a reminder, 5th place trials in Contenders China, got a spot in the Pacific region, came in only 4th place in Group B. Narrowly getting through on some occasions. There were some tight calls there. Defeating Hong Kong Attitude in that last week, though, definitely gave them that ticket. They probably would have gone through even not winning, but it gave them that extra bit of oomph, that gave them that extra bit of fuel to make it through, toppling down tournament giants and pre-tournament favorites, Talent Esports, defending champions, Talent Esports in a 3-2 victory. This has been an insane season for the squad.
This is the team that set the precedent this season of upsets. And they said it late in the day, sure, they said it way in week 5, but I mean, suddenly everyone jumped on that bandwagon. It's like, well, this is the season of upsets. Now, 3 out of 4 quarterfinals went the way of the lowest seeded team, the quote-unquote underdog, with, of course, Cyclone Coupling being one of them. This is a team that genuinely has kind of done that 0 to hero. It's almost a shame to not see them quite complete that Royal Road. We haven't had a Royal Road now for a couple of seasons in the Pacific region, but at any rate, this has been an absolutely fantastic team to watch. Stubbornly not playing goats the entire tournament long, nearly making it all the way to a final on that precedent, coupled with some excellent play and a massive acceleration later on in the season. It's a shame to see them go, but you've got to give credit to Nova.
That's the thing. This is the team that have been gamblers throughout the entire season, wanting to push the envelope, wanting to change everything. And other teams have been playing suit as well, and it's kind of fitting in a way that this is the team, Cyclone Coupling, that have gambled right until their last, and it is through the gamble. And unfortunately, sometimes you get heads, other times you get tails, but for Nova Esports, they're going to go through the grand finals, and one more team has the opportunity to meet them there. Is it going to be Hong Kong Attitude? Is it going to be Phoenix? Stay tuned and find out after this break.